tuning in to the Mariners Virtual Baseball Bash. Now, enjoy this Virtual Clubhouse Chat.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to a very special Mariners presentation as we celebrate the 20th anniversary of the 2001 Mariners season, one of the greatest years in the history of Major League Baseball. It was something. Hi, everybody. I'm Rick Riz, and today we're going to visit with two of the players who played a vital role in the team's success that year, winning a Major League record 116 games. Can you believe that? Now, prior to 2001, the Mariners had lost the big unit, Randy Johnson Jr. and A-Rod, but Hall of Fame GM Pat Gillick put together a machine-like winning team for future Hall of Fame manager Lou Piniella to skipper that year, a team that manufactured win after win after win. It was a team that added the very first position player from Japan, Ichiro Suzuki, and what a debut he had. It was a team that led the American League in hitting, in runs scored, pitching, and defense. And tonight we're proud to welcome back some of the key members from that unforgettable team. But before we get to them, this reminder, as the Mariners Virtual Baseball Bash rolls into week 2, we'd like to welcome everyone joining us on Mariners.com, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch to this afternoon's Virtual Clubhouse Chat. Also, a reminder, feel free to ask any questions via your platform's chat feature. We'll be sure to get to some of them later on in the program. Let's have some fun. Today, we're going to visit with Mariners Hall of Fame catcher Dan Wilson, who put together one of his best seasons in Seattle while catching one of the best pitching staffs the team has ever assembled. Also joining us tonight is Mariners Gold Glove center fielder Mike Cameron, who was an all-star in 2001, hit 25 home runs and had 110 runs batted in. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Dan the Man Wilson and Mike Cameron, two of the nicest guys I've ever met in my life. Guys, how you doing?
What's up, Rizza?
How we doing, Rick?
I'm fine, Dan the Man. I'm fine, Cammy. Anytime I'm around you guys, I'm doing great. Let's get get into it because we have so much to talk about. Can you believe, guys, it's been 20 years since you put together that historic season? Danny, we'll start with you.
No, it's gone by so fast, and I think just looking back on that season, and the things that I really take away from it, and seeing Cammie just brings it all back. Just the idea of the relationships that we built on that club over the course of that season, and we were kind of a pretty veteran team, and we were all kind of in a similar place in our careers. And the bonding that went on with that club was awesome. And to think that 20 years has gone by is crazy, but that's the part of it that I really miss.
Cammie, you and Danny haven't changed a bit in 20 years. Can you believe it's 20?
It's unique, because I'm constantly reminded by it a little bit now as I've, become a member on the player development side, with the team, and seeing it more so than normal. So, the people always remind you of it. And it's like, it doesn't feel like it's been 20 years, but it has been that long. And, arguably, one of the best seasons, in a regular season fashion, because the talent that we had on a unit, and also the talent that was in the division for us to be able to accomplish winning that many games is pretty special. Because I don't think anyone remembers that Oakland won 100 games that year. Mm-hmm. So it was special. Obviously 9/11 just kind of puts like a little bit of put the seasons a little bit more in perspective as what transpired. But one of the most remarkable baseball seasons I ever seen, because I just don't remember losing. No. More than 10 games in a month, maybe.
Yeah. You guys didn't lose back-to-back games until August.
Yeah, that's crazy,
Amazing.
Man. That's crazy. I couldn't even explain to you how to do it. I just know we were playing good, and it was one of the seasons that not just everything clicked, but I don't think we had more than 1 or 2 days where a guy was somebody on the team contributed in some type of fashion. That's what really was special, because it wasn't just a boatload of 1, 2, or 3 guys. It was spread out amongst everyone of the whole 25-man roster.
Yeah. It was an amazing run. You guys started off April, Danny, 20-5. What did you see at spring training, and what did you think at the end of April? And you're 20-5, as Cammie mentioned. You had 20 wins in April, a major league record, by the way.
Yeah, it's funny. And Cammie, you'll have to fill in the blanks because he probably remembers it better. But we had a meeting with Lou about a week to go in spring training, because we were not playing very well down in Arizona.
Yeah.
Really?
He sat us down and he said, "Fellas, baseball's not, you can't just flip the switch and start playing well. That just doesn't work in baseball." So he said, "You guys, we got a week to go. It's time to pick it up a notch." And I don't know. I guess we listened to it. I don't know. We probably looked at each other out of the corner of our eyes a little bit. But, since that point, I can remember we were about the end of April. My locker was near Norm Charlton's, and we were sitting there talking about, winning 20 games. And Norm's like, "Wow, we're going to win 20 games in April." He's like, this may not happen again. And it continued to happen. But I don't know. We got off to a good start. I think in baseball, it's important to get off to a good start.
Yeah.
And we did. We got off to a great start. But it just never, I think we all kind of expected at some point to start going down the hill on the other side. But it just never came. We just continued to play well and stay up on that upper plateau. And it was coming to the ballpark was a blast.
Yeah. I mean, like, just to kind of like go off of Dano, I remember, a lot of the focus was on Ichiro so much in spring training. And and then we had the additions with Brett Boone and let's see who else. I know he was
Stan Javier.
Yeah, Stan Javier. Javier was there in 2000.
In the year before, Aaron Seeley.
Yeah. So Seeley and some of the other guys, and once again, like you said, it was a veteran-laced team. But we always thought that, just from our first year being there, because the division was so good with Anaheim and Oakland, and Texas had the Bashers or whatever, we just always felt like, hey, we got to get out the gate good in the American League West because we started our season in the West. And to go 20-5 though, I mean, that's crazy, man. And then to come back and do it again the next month, like I'm like, okay, this is gonna be it's gonna be a tough one. We knew we just coming from where we were in 2000, actually playing in the ALCS and losing to the Yankees. We just knew that we were a good team. We didn't know how because A-Rod had just left, but Ichiro came in, so we didn't know what Ichiro was going to bring. We know he was a very skilled baseball player in Japan, but when we saw this guy, spring training, we still didn't have no idea. When the season started, though, it was totally different because when your leadoff guys get on base every single time and creating havoc and everything else with his dynamic that he presented on the baseball team, I mean, it just boosted all the way through the lineup. And the pitchers got off to a good start, too. So that was obviously probably the most important thing.
Exactly. What a lineup. Ichiro, then you and Edgar Martinez and John Olerud and Brett Boone had the huge year. Dan, let's talk about that pitching staff, especially the starters. Freddie Garcia, Aaron Seeley, Jamie Moyer, Brett Tomko, John Halama, and others. What was it like working with that starting staff?
It was an interesting staff. When you look at it, when you look at Freddie, who was, somewhat the ace of that staff, I guess you could say, had the great sinker, had great stuff, and threw pretty hard for a right-handed pitcher. And then you had a couple of guys. You had Jamie Moyer, John Halama, who, were just those finesse guys, and you weren't going to strike a lot of guys out, but you were going to use your defense. And I can't tell you how many times this other guy here, Michael Cameron, saved us out there because that was the game plan with guys like Halama, guys like Jamie Moyer, even an Aaron Seeley.
Paul Abbott too.
Yeah, Abby. I mean, these guys didn't throw hard, so you were going to get some contact, and you were going to use your defense behind you. And what a year defensively we had. Cammy up the middle was just so solid. Booney at second base, obviously, who played very, very well. And so I think for us, that gave the pitchers great confidence that they could throw strikes. They could, they didn't have to be afraid of anybody. Of course, Safeco Field was a big ballpark. We took advantage of that as well. I think overall we had a great blend of guys that threw a little bit harder, some guys that threw softer. So you were going to see, any visiting club coming in for 3-4 game series, you were going to see a lot of different types of pitching. You were going to have to make your adjustments. And I think that helped us out a lot.
And how about that bullpen? You had Kazuhiro Sasaki as the closer, but Norm Charlton was still around, and you had Arthur Lee Rhodes and Jeff Nelson, Jose Paniagua, and they just handed the ball to one guy to the other, Dan.
Yeah, I think the bullpen was really the key for us that particular year. Anytime you can shorten a game to about 6 or 7 innings, it seemed like we could do that every night. And if we had a lead in the 6th inning or 7th inning, you had Arthur Rhodes for the lefties, Jeff Nelson for the righties, and then, of course, Sasaki to close it out. And our bullpen just dominated, I felt like, that entire season. And again, just gave us confidence. Get the lead early. We'll hold on to the lead late. And that was a formula for us for a lot of games. And, I don't know about Cammy. I'm curious. Like, I don't remember just blowing teams out. It wasn't like that, really. Every game was – it was a close ball game, and middle of the game, things would change a little bit. We'd catch a break, we'd capitalize, and then we'd go on to win the game. It was a lot of 4-1, 3-1 type games. And we were in every single game, and that bullpen was a big reason why. And I think, I spoke to the idea of a veteran team. Not only was it a veteran team, but especially with the bullpen, these guys really understood the roles that they had. Yeah. And they went out there every single night and just performed to their role perfectly. And it was such a great formula for success.
Let's get some questions from some fans for Mike Cameron and also Dan Wilson. So let's go and find out what the fans are thinking right now. And we have a question here from Mandy. Dan, if the 1995 team played the 2001 team in the 7-game series, who wins? That's a great question from Mandy.
That's a great question. I'll say this. Rick, you and I were talking offline before. If that series gets off to a start where the 2001 team wins the first 3 games and we got our backs to the wall. Then the 95 team comes back and wins that whole thing, right? That's what I would say.
Yeah, you had the great comeback.
So that's how it's got to go.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
That's the only way 95 wins it.
Wow. It's a great
question.
How about another question from one of our fans today? And this is from Trevor. Mike, would you rather rob a home run or hit one, buddy?
Come on, man. Everybody loves to hit homers. I mean, that's the life. I mean, hitting homers. I would love to hit homers. I just felt like, hitting a homer is so much more difficult than bringing one back. Obviously, the ones that you save contributes to the confidence of the pitcher and the accolades of the defender or whatever. But hitting home runs, man, that, like you hit enough of them, it can propel your team to a lot of victories. And I think, obviously defense saves you a lot of times, which saved us a lot in 2001. But hitting home runs, man, and situations that, where you need a couple of runs and you can get a chance to get on the board, I'm all for hitting homers, for sure.
There you go. And I'll never forget May 2nd of 2000, the year before, you hit 4 in one game and almost hit 5. Your last time was bad.
Yeah.
5 all the right field.
Yeah.
How about another question for Dan or Mike from our fans? And this is from Carl. And this is for both. Do you think there will ever be another 116 win team?
Wow. I got to say, I think it'd be really difficult. I do think it's definitely something that's approachable. I think it's more approachable than like a Cal Ripken streak, something like that along those lines.
Yeah.
But I do think it's possible. But it's tough. So much has to go right. So much has to go your way. It's really a difficult task. And I just love the fact that it's not an individual thing. It's like Cammy mentioned early. It's 25 guys. It's actually 40-man roster that everybody's pulling their weight in the same direction. And that's what you get at the end of the season is 116 wins. So a lot has to go right. I think it's possible.
Yeah, I saw the closest team I think was the year that the Cubs maybe won the World Series. I think it was in 2016. They were really pushing the bill a lot on that. Probably the biggest thing that we didn't have a whole lot of people that got hurt. So our starting pitching was intact, and then we brought up, we had swing guy and Ryan Franklin. We had Joel Pinero come up, contribute. We had Soriano on the back end also come up and contribute in these matters. So, and then our position players, no one really got hurt. I mean, the balance was just probably as perfect as it was. We played in all phases of the game very well, especially in the pitching and defense department. So we were going to be tough to beat anyway, for sure.
Exactly. Stan Javier, Mark McLemore,
both
incredible years. And our 25th guy, you remember our 25th guy?
Charles
Lou could never remember his name. Luis Ugueto.
Oh, I forgot about Ghetto.
Luis Ugueto. The Row 5 guy. Yeah, get that Row 5.
That's right. He had to stay up there. I forgot about that.
He had to stay up the whole year.
Hey, man. Yeah, I forgot all about that, man.
Yeah. He was our 25th man. How about another question for Cammy or Dan the Van Wilson? This is fun. 20th anniversary of the 2001 team. This is from Cali. Mike, aside from the home runs themselves, what was your favorite memory from your 4 home run game against the Chicago White Sox?
Well, that day, obviously, anytime I played in Chicago was memorable for me because I knew I was going to play well. And also, it being in Chicago, my buddy who I stayed with, my roommate from rookie ball up, James Baldwin, being on the mound. And probably the one thing that probably no one remembers about that game is I robbed a grand slam from Maglio Ordonez. That was probably the most memorable part of it. And maybe that last at bat because I knew already, it was already gravy. So the script for that last at bat and how it played out was pretty memorable also. And And probably the biggest thing is it's really hard to please Lou Piniella, as a player. And I remember coming out the field and, the crowd, going crazy a little bit, the ones that were left there. And I remember him giving me a hug. And he said, "You did well, son. You did well today, son." And that made me feel really good because he was really hard to please, man. So it was good.
That was something.
I got to say, too, Rick, if I can jump in here real quick.
Yeah.
It was my favorite thing. I mean, besides watching Cammy just play in a tree for 3-4 hours, it was just awesome to see him on both sides of the ball that day. But after the ball game ends, he's down in the dugout doing the post-game interviews.
Yeah.
And Booney and everybody in the clubhouse were all scurrying around. What are we going to do? How are we going to commemorate this? What as a team can we do? And so we decided that all of us got bats, and we we made a tunnel of love for Cammy with the baseball bats, and perhaps some people have seen it. And as he come up the stairs from the dugout, just came through there and
got a robe on him somehow too, right?
Yeah, it was just a great moment.
I apologize. I forgot. I didn't think about it in behind the scenes stuff that actually what we do as players. And for them, like they rolled out like this. It wasn't a red carpet for me, but they put like some kind of cape on me. I remember, and they wrapped my bat in aluminum foil, and everybody let me walk through it while they was dousing me with beer. So it was pretty special. That's for sure.
Moment. What was incredible is that you and Booney went back to back in the first inning. So. Let's get to some more questions for Mike Cameron and Dan the Man Wilson, the 2001 season. And let's see, what recommendations would you make to someone in the early stages of learning the catching job, Dan?
That's a good question. There's so much to it. And I think one of the things that really separates the good catchers from the average catcher really is how they handle the mental side of the game. There's a lot to the physical side, and we could spend hours talking about that. But really, I think what separates it is the mental side, how well you handle the pitching staff, how you call a game, those things that don't always get noticed necessarily, but are so important for a ball club. And I think when you're a catcher and the manager has the faith in you that when you're out there, you're just kind of running the game.
Yeah.
That's a really good feeling. And you look around the league, the guys who are the best at this job currently, you look at the Molinas and some of those names, those are the guys that run the game. And they the manager says, okay, you're in the lineup, and they have full confidence in what those catchers can do out there in the field. And I think that's really where good catchers begin to shine. So really that mental side is the side to really pay attention to.
Yeah, you were a quarterback out there. You were the field general. You did such a wonderful job for many years, Dan. This next question is from Rick Riz. And fellas, we've got to talk about what happened on one of the saddest days in the history of our country that year. On September the 11th of 2001, 20 years ago, we awoke to the horrific news that 2 planes crashed in the World Trade Center towers in New York. One plane crashed into the Pentagon in Washington, and then another plane that was heading toward the Capitol or the White House crashed in a field in Pennsylvania. We were in Anaheim getting ready to play the Angels that night. Danny and Mike, what do you remember about that fateful morning of September the 11th, 2001? Dan?
Well, for me, my wife called about 6 o'clock. I think it was 6:30 in the morning. And she knew I usually needed to get my rest. So that was odd for her to call me. And she said, you got to turn on the TV. I think we're being attacked. So it just was an eerie feeling. I think for all of us, again, a lot of us were a little bit older. A lot of us had families. It was a pretty helpless feeling to be on the road away from your family when something like that was going on. And we just, I think we all watched, and we were just shocked at what our eyes were seeing. And I don't think it occurred to me that the game would be canceled or that anything would change for us. But, as news continued to break and they started to cancel the games and Major League Baseball did the right thing, took a week off.
Yeah.
All that was just so necessary to find some healing, from the events that happened. Just horrific.
Mike, your thoughts about that morning, and how in the world did you guys collectively as a team get through that week?
For one, just waking up, when you're on the West Coast and everybody's back on my East Coast, and waking up and actually, the TV was on, and by this time the news had flipped on, and it was early that morning, and I remember waking up and I thought it was like a scene from a horror movie, to be honest with you. Mm-hmm. And just the chaos that it caused, and not to see any airplanes going, around in the air that day. We were supposed to go back home, I think. I think after that series was over, but we were in the hotel down in Anaheim for like a week, and I think that 3 days?
3 days, yeah.
Yeah, I remember the just wasn't anything going on. Air traffic, there was no air traffic. I remember that for a while, and just the chaos that it caused, and seeing, like, I remember some of the guys that I used to play with. I think like the White Sox were playing in New York at the time, so I can only imagine how they felt, what was going on with that place, just people in New York and how everything was transpiring. And so I just remember, like, I think everyone was just like really concerned, scared, just what's next, what's going to happen, because we were still having this great baseball season, and it's interrupted by like something that's going on in real life. And, I think a lot of times it's just concern for the safety of our families and everything else that was taking place, and kind of going from there, but once we got back to Seattle, it was just kind of like we were good because we were back home. Yeah. And I think everything else kind of like fall in line from that point on.
So a week later, you come back, and a few days after that, you shut out the Angels and you clinch the American League West. And I'll never forget that night. Neither will you. Cammie, you and Mark McLemore take the American flag and you walk around. You guys wind up at the mound and you celebrate in the most respectful way, considering what the country had just gone through the week before. Cammie, can you describe that moment in time and what it meant to all of you and what it meant to all of us?
Yeah, it was just so surreal because me and Mac didn't really plan on doing that. We was just, just kind of like waving the flag and, in solidarity. We had just had like the little silent prayer, I think it was, on the mound with our team because we couldn't do the normal celebration. And I just remember like at that time, we were just doing, I guess, what was natural, so to speak, and it was just like in unison, the two of us, just kind of going around waving the flag around and everything. And then to be able to hold it up at the end and, having people feel good about, the moment, and so to speak, but yeah, it was unique, man. I didn't know that it was going to be like a Kodak moment, and also like bobbleheads, that we did that. We weren't even thinking in that matter.
Danny, I still get goosebumps when I think about it, what you guys did and what you did on that field when you clinched. What was that moment like for you?
Yeah, it was extremely emotional. And I give so much credit to Lou and Pat Gillick. They really wanted to do this moment right. They didn't feel like it was right to be celebrating during this time. And so, this was really orchestrated on their part to go out, say a silent prayer, and then take the flag around. And like Cammie said, I think there wasn't a dry eye on the field. There wasn't a dry eye in the stands. It was just a very powerful moment. I think the other powerful moment actually came at the beginning of the game. And, the national anthem becomes kind of commonplace over the course of a season. But to hear the absolute dead silence in that stadium as the colors came onto the field, as the colors left the field, just so much respect for the flag and so much respect for what this country had gone through. And those are the moments, man. It to this day, as we talk about it, it just kind of rocks your foundation. And, you get a sense of what that really felt like, and you go back and you remember it. And it shook you to your core, and just great moments to take away. But that moment that Cammie's referring to, is standing there, waving the flag, waving to the fans, just a pretty powerful moment in baseball.
It really was. One of the greatest moments of the season came at the All-Star break. The All-Star game was held in Seattle. Seattle really shined. T-Mobile Park really shined. And Mike Cameron, you were one of 8 Mariner All-Stars that year. Lou was on the staff as well. What in the world was that like for you before 46,000 fans at T-Mobile Park as an All-Star?
Man, I'm gonna try to shorten this because it's a story behind the whole All-Star thing for me in 2001, and it started in LA, and I just remember I used to always be complaining about, if I don't make the All-Star team, nobody's gonna get my locker. All I want to do is I used to tell Ron all the time, like, Ron, I just want tickets to go see the home run derby, blah, blah, blah. So it became Sunday before the All-Star break. We're in LA, we're still playing well. I was playing well. I was kind of disappointed I didn't get picked. I thought that, from as I viewed the All-Star game, going into the season, I knew Joe Torre was going to be the manager. So I always tried to play well when we played against New York to show that, hey, I've gotten better since the end of 2000 season. And then I had a great first half. And, I gave it a good run. And I was disappointed that I didn't get picked to be a alternate, but we had so many All-Stars that year, I couldn't complain really, but, I really did want to play. And so during that game on Sunday, I remember Ron Spellacy coming down during the game, maybe like the fifth or sixth innings or whatever. And, I had been giving him crap the whole weekend or whatever. And I really ended up, I remember in Dodger Stadium, they got all the steps. I remember him coming down to tell me, he's like, hey, you're not going to need any tickets to take your kid to go see the home run derby because you're going to participate in it. And I literally started like have happy tears in my eyes or whatever. And I just remember coming back up there and I was smiling and crying at the same time. And the first person that gave me a hug was Jay Buhner. And he was just like, congratulations that you deserved it. He said, but you still got to go get a hit. And I was like, I wasn't in the hole, but I was, I was like fourth up, come up to that plate. And I remember hitting a triple my next AB. And then to get back to Seattle was probably just kind of like celebrating that particular part of it, because the person who I was replacing was the guy who mentored me, Greg Vaughn, mentored me in Cincinnati when I got traded for Paul Konerko, and I had so much emotional energy and just bad direction going on. And he was the guy who mentored me, took me under my wing, and really taught me how to be a pro's pro.
Yeah. And
so that was like, it was just so gratifying to be able to go replace him, because other than that, I don't know if I would have got a chance to play. And so I was so grateful that I got a chance to play, and then to come back home and to see my name. It was on a sheet. I think it was on like a bed sheet, and they wrote my name in the corner, in the right center corner. But everybody else had their lettered name on the green belt all around the stadium or whatever. But mine was on a white sheet and in blue marker, but it was really big, and I still was excited as all get out. I couldn't wait to get back there to like try my jersey on, and I was so happy that I didn't have to move none of my stuff in my locker. So, and probably besides playing the game, I think I took my bonus, All-Star bonus, and bought everybody on the team like an All-Star jacket in Seattle. It couldn't happen in a better place. Couldn't happen in a better situation. If there was the only All-Star team I was going to make, I'm glad I got a chance to experience it in Seattle, because it was just like, it was the ovation, the roar, the appreciation, just gave me such a emotional feel, because if everyone understood the circumstance of how I got there, and to be able to be a part of something of the greatest players in the mid-season summer classic was pretty emotional, pretty special.
I'll never forget your slogan, buddy. Enjoy my enjoyment.
All the time. Still.
I still use that all the time.
Still.
Hey, fellas, we got to wind down in a few minutes, but I got to ask you, you're closing in on 116 games. Time is running out. at the end of the year to tie the major league record for 116 wins. Game number 161, you guys had come away with a 2-hit shutout, a 1-0 win over the Texas Rangers. Denny Stark started that ball game, Danny, and it was followed by Paul Abbott, Joel Pinheiro, Jeff Nelson, and Kazuhiro Sasaki. Where does that game rank among all the great games that you caught? What was it like to finally win the 116th game to set the major league record?
It was pretty crazy. I mean, I think as we watch some of those videos, it's ironic that A-Rod makes the last out. I think it's a foul tip and strikes out for strike three, and he's the guy that had left the year before, and just so baseball is, it's just so ironic sometimes. But what a great feeling. I think we're all disappointed that we didn't get further in the playoffs and get to that World Series. I think we that was really what, I don't think we ever set out to set a regular season record. Our goal was to get to the World Series and win it, and to come up short was a little disappointing. But the takeaway, to be the only team that's won 116 games on the field, that's something obviously that you'll never forget as a player.
Oh man, that was really something.
Yeah.
How about another question from a fan? I think we might have a time for sneak in another question for some of the fans.
This will be our last one, Rick.
It's going to be our last question. This is from Greg. Who was the unsung hero of that 2001 team, Cammy?
Unsung hero?
Unsung hero.
2001?
2001. Was it a McLemore? All you guys had great years. Was it Javier? Was it,
I would have to say either Stan Javier or Mark McLemore, because I think we thought it was going to be a problem with him being, super utility and him being predominantly second baseman. Then Booney came in. And so I would have to say probably Mark McLemore.
Yeah.
McLemore. Yeah.
That's a good choice. Danny, that's a good choice.
Yeah, obviously our defense was so solid, and for a guy like Mac to be able to, like Cammy said, to just fill in and play such solid defense, you can't. He would be my pick. But if I had to pick somebody else, I don't know that I could pick one player, but I would pick the bullpen, like we discussed earlier. I think the collection of those guys and just their ability to close games out, to shut down games. To help us win games that were close at the end of the ball game. They just did that day in and day out. I think that was incredible.
What it was one of the greatest years in the history of Major League Baseball, and you guys played a vital role. That was a lot of fun, guys. I want to thank everyone for sending in their questions, and to show our appreciation, we're going to give away a Dan Wilson autographed baseball to one lucky fan joining us during today's virtual clubhouse chat. So congratulations to our winner, and that is John Gunke. John, you win yourself an autographed baseball by Dan the Man Wilson. Mariners representative will reach out and make sure you get your special prize. Also, a reminder about two big events coming up later on this afternoon at 2 o'clock this afternoon. Don't miss our next virtual clubhouse chat with American League Rookie of the Year Kyle Lewis and our Gold Glove first baseman, Evan White. You can tune in to the Mariners Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, or Twitch accounts. At 3 o'clock, head over to Twitter for a takeover with Marco Gonzalez. If you enjoyed today's conversation with these two great guys, then join me for Thursday's noon virtual clubhouse chat with Mark McLemore, Jamie Moyer, and Arthur Rhodes. We'll have those guys on to talk about the 2001 season. Then that evening, tune in to our 2001 20th anniversary roundtable on the Mariners YouTube channel. I have an in-depth conversation with Dan and Mike's teammates, Brett Boone, Norm Charlton, Tom Lampkin, and Aaron Seeley, as we relive one of the greatest moments, one of the greatest seasons in the history of Major League Baseball. Visit mariners.com/baseball bash for the full schedule. I'll tell you what, guys, I really enjoyed this. It's always great to see you guys reliving some of the great moments from that historical 2001 season, winning 116 games. Dan Wilson, Mike Cameron, you guys played a huge role in that success, and I can't thank you enough for joining us today as we look back on that 2001 season. Ladies and gentlemen, Dan the Man Wilson, Mike, Cammy, Cameron for joining us, and thank you for all watching tonight, guys. Thank you so much for joining us, buddies.
The RZA.
Thank you, Rick. Great to see you, Cameron.
All the time, D. All the time. I don't know when we're doing spring training, but I think that we're supposed to go soon. But I'm hearing different things about what's going on in Arizona right now, where they talking about pushing it back. Yeah. So, who knows?
Hopefully, real soon. Hopefully on February 17th, and hopefully these young kids will put together a magical season. Cammy, thank you so much. Dan Wilson, thank you so much, guys.
Always.
Thank you for watching today's virtual Clubhouse Chat. For more information on more great events coming up, visit mariners.com/baseballbash.